Welcome back to you and yours, to yet another installment of Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. As always, I am Chat Show. I'm so excited about today's show, and I'll tell you why. Not right now, a little later. We have a great guest in Nick Swardson. He'll be out here in a couple of minutes. I have not known him long, but it's been fruitful, and I think you know what I'm not saying. We have exciting guests coming up. I'll get to that in a moment. I want to re-thank Fallen Stars for that opening theme and remind you all that the opening theme is written, composed, produced, and sent to us by you, the viewers. If you want to spend that kind of time and effort, we'll use it on the show, and I will plug and promote all of your CDs and websites and everything and anything, quite frankly, to help you in your career in any way that I can. You believe that, don't you? That I'm here to help you in any way I can? NASA put a man on the moon 40 years ago. That was pretty exciting, right? We had this last week, all the celebrations, and then somehow it gets out that the original video of the live TV transmission from the fucking moon was taped over. Send a man to the moon, but you can't keep it. That's exciting stuff. What do you think? B. Arthur, somewhere on that tape? Write in and tell me what you would like to see replace 40 years ago, the live walk on the moon. What shows you'd like to see over that video? I think that might be a fun contest for all of us. Speaking of which, what I've enjoyed on Twitter, a couple of things. The fake co-stars, I think that's what it is. I've enjoyed that game a lot. It was, what was funny? Oh, God, we've had some great ones. I can probably pull some up from Twitter right frickin' now. We're getting a lot of great live questions from Twitter for Nick Swardson. Got some sweet tweet fives. Don't back off on those. Michael Cera and Sean Penn in Super Bad Boys. See how it works? It's a fun game. And the other fun game was, for some reason the other day I just said, for me, the answer today is Jimmy Kahn in the grotto with the candlestick. And people kind of ran with that for literally 3 days straight. And that was a shit ton of fun. So we can take a look at some more of those if you'd like. That's really up to you. I'm here if you should need me. I want to thank the fine folks at Ustream who not only bring us this damn show through its live streaming portal, but were kind enough to help sponsor the show. What? Yeah. Also the cats from TriCaster. All righty. The most exciting thing for me, you know, I've been talking to you about the movie that we have 5 more days of shooting on that I wrote with George Gallo that we're making the goddamn thing. No one can believe this ridiculous miracle / piece of shit. But here's the important part. It may or may not come to a theater anywhere near you. But with all that going on, and I have to go back to New York to finish the Kevin Smith film, which I will very excited to tell you more about as we wrap on that. But we'll do one more show in New York with Broadway superstar, pretty boy, Craig Bierko. Look for that, August 2nd. I just prefaced the whole thing with all of that just to build up to this moment, because all of that is crap compared to this, which is Dan Aykroyd. You know him, you love him, for a gazillion different things, but did you know he makes the booze? This is where it all happens for me. He's got a winery, yeah. Most importantly, he brings us some sweet, sweet vodka inside of a glass skull. You think I'm fucking with you? I want you to watch something with me. Somebody turned me, we were in a bar in the New York general area to see Common Rotation. Yeah, at Jamie_Fox and I. Maybe we took in the fine show, enjoyed ourselves. In the future, of course, everyone's name will be prefaced by an at. And while we're there, she spies a glass skull and goes, fucking what? But maybe not like that. And then we had some, and it's also tasty. Then we go to the website and we see the following video that we're about to roll, and brace yourselves, folks. I'm going to dump out of this at some point, but we're going to catch this for a couple of minutes straight and solid, and I think you'll see why. God bless you, Dan Aykroyd. Enjoy. Yeah, I'm sorry, we can't show clips. We can't clear them from the live show to what you're seeing now. All right, please. Folks, it goes for like 17 and a half hours. He doesn't stop, and it's the greatest. You have to go to crystalheadsvodka.com and watch the whole thing for yourself. I just tip my hat to the commitment, to the uber sincerity, and it's damn good vodka. We've sampled it. Right on to you, Mr. Aykroyd, and you're welcome at this here round table anytime, God damn it. Did we get to the, where it was from? They call it The Rock. They call it The Rock. Yeah. Oh God, you got to watch the whole thing, where they make the vodka. All right. So next Sunday, tune in, join us for Jason Lee, former skater boy, now international television and motion picture superstar. Craig Bierko, as I said, August 2nd, August 9th, Paul Scheer, Rob Hubel of the fabulous Human Giant Folk. And the 16th of August, Bryan Singer, director of a couple of films. And then, well, I'm not going to get to the 23rd because it's still one or the other between two fine folk. All right. I can put this off no longer because I'm so excited that he's here and he has places to be. So let's get right to it. I've seen this man do stand-up, and I, of course, been a practitioner for far too many years, so I know what I like and I know what sucks. And he makes me laugh uncontrollably, if not uncomfortably, at times. And also, we'll show a clip of some other stuff that he's been working on. I'm very excited to welcome, and so help me please, Mr. Nick Swardson. Nick, where are you going? You can't leave. We're just starting. Hi, buddy.
Hi, buddy.
How's it going?
How are you?
We
have the same hats, for the record.
I love the commitment.
Yeah. What's going on?
Can you dig the vodka coming from Aykroyd's?
I'm 100% on board.
Right?
That is not a tough sell.
Right?
I have a similar company, but it's a calf. It's a crystal calf, and you drink from it. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, no, it's intense. I did I don't know Dan Aykroyd really, but I did. I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry with him, and he's a fucking intense dude, man. He's definitely He's riding on a. He's doing it.
He takes it all very seriously and very sort of uber sincere, as I said.
Yeah,
which is from the heart and yet hilarious at the same time.
Yes.
I mean, you watch him in Dragnet or something like that, and you realize that this has been going on for a while.
Right, even like Spies Like Us, like you watch him and he's fucking dialed in. You know what I mean? Like he like is into like intricate dialogue. I mean, like lines where I'd be like, I'm not gonna say this. And Aykroyd, you know, he like rattles it off like perfectly.
I can't believe that everything's going as well as it is, and yet it is. That sort of thing. Yeah,
totally.
There's a wild. We love you, Dan. God
love
bless.
you, Dan.
Tell me about let's just kick right in and jump right into the soup, if you don't mind.
Jump in.
Tell me about growing up in the Minneapolis greater area. We talked briefly. You went with the Grumpy Old Men Mug.
Yeah, very excited.
Which
Minnesota.
We're happy to share that with you.
I love Minnesota.
Yeah, I dug me the Twin Cities. I really did.
Yeah, it's great. And I mean, I'm from there, but I love Minnesota. Like, I definitely, like, I brought friends there from, you know, LA and New York and stuff, and people like flip out. Like, they go to Minneapolis, and it's like such a great, people are really cool. You're not gonna get in bar fights. You're not gonna, you know what I mean? Like, the food's great. They have, like, now, like, a lot of chefs are going there and opening restaurants.
I'm
cool
sorry.
Hotels.
When you run down its uptake and its positive notes, you're not going to get into any bar fights is on the list?
That's kind of my gauge. That's, yeah. I mean, yeah, but you know, some towns.
Great, hiking, fishing, food's fantastic, and the people are friendly, and of course, not as many bar fights.
Yeah.
As you would think.
Not going to get punched out after a game of darts.
Did you grow up there?
I did, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So
I left at age 19.
I spent a little time there, but I did spend one February there.
Yeah.
Shooting outside.
Right.
But I have to ask how one deals, because when the moisture in your eyes hardens, you can just write me out of the whole...
It's awful. Like, it's horrendous.
Yeah.
And it's actually better than it used to. When I was a kid, It was a fucking nightmare. Like, it would be, I can swear, right?
Yeah, please.
Okay. It was awful. Like, and I'm not even joking. Like, it would get so cold that I remember it was like one time it was 60 below the wind chill. Old people were warned not to go outside.
Right.
Seriously, if you're 70 or up, like, you'll just die.
Right.
You know, you'll be, and then just freeze. Or if you fell, that was it. If you walked outside and fell and broke your hip, you're a crystal skull.
Yeah.
You know, have vodka in your brain. You know what I mean?
It's where the phrase "I've fallen and can't get up" came from.
Yeah.
It came from Minnesota.
I've fallen and I can't.
Right.
But, no, and then also, I'll never forget this. My mom told me that it got so cold out that on the farms, cows' ears were freezing and breaking off.
That's nice. That's nice. As visuals go, that's a winner.
Yeah, that's not a Monday morning you want to wake up to.
Yeah. Where's the cow's ear?
Damn it.
Honey, where's the cow's ear?
Honey, where's...
Yeah. Not the tastiest part, necessarily.
Not good.
So, and how, at what age were you when you thought I'm going to try the funny? Because I heard you kind of jumped in at 16 into like an improv class or something, an improv group.
I started doing theater because my grades were so bad
Same here.
partying.
Yeah.
Really learned my lesson on that one. So yeah, I started taking theater to get like an easy A. I was just like, this is an easy A.
Right.
And it was weird. Like I don't know. I was doing it, and my teacher was like, she's like, you're really like good at this. Like you should really consider like doing it. And so she moved me into like the advanced program. And it was like a touring company. And we toured all over. And then
What kind of theater stuff are you doing?
it was like dramatic. We wrote our own plays, and like it was really intense. I went to like an inner city school, so it was a lot of like race issues and drugs. It was like really intense.
How old are you at this point?
I was 16.
Jesus.
And then
That's somewhat influential.
yeah, it was huge. And then an improv company came to my school, and they came to my theater company. They did a show, and I watched it. And me and my other buddy Colton that was in my class, and he was like, should we do this?" And you know, I think he'd already known some of the people in there, and so we tried it, and that was kind of my first like foray into comedy.
And was it instant in terms of I love it, or was there?
It was great. I mean, improv's so much different, you know. I mean, it's so much different than stand-up, but it was fun, man. I mean, it definitely like it just sharpens you so much, and it helps you out in every level of your life. Just being able to like having to adapt quickly in a bar fight, or you know, if
No recurring theme here. No, sir.
Crystal Skull.
Right? It's so good. Tell me, there's no bite, right? It's just smooth.
Smooth.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Tell me though, so when you're doing the theater, at what point is the thought of doing stand-up? Is that always kind of there, or is that something?
No, you know what's really funny is I always kind of, I never like was really into stand-up. I was always kind of like I watched it on TV and stuff, and I was like, all right. I just thought it was like guys talking about their wives, and I just was like, I don't know.
Wait a minute, you're not 60. Guys weren't talking about their wives.
Well, no, like when I would see it like on the Tonight Show and stuff, it just seemed like, I don't know, like I always just saw guys
Who were
in
the
suits.
guys? Do you remember the guys that were on?
I don't
Back
remember.
then it was like Rodney Dangerfield kind of thing?
Yeah, like that type of thing. Like Rodney, guys like that I would see. I just it was never on my radar. I was doing improv so much, and I just didn't even know how to go about stand-up. And then my improv company folded. When I graduated high school, I was like 18.
Right.
And the company folded, and I had nothing to do. And I had no outlet. And it was this weird kind of like limbo. And I grabbed my buddies from the improv company. I'm like, I go, let's fucking do stand-up. Let's just go try it. You know what I mean? And they were like, okay. And so we went down to the open mic, and I wrote like, I kind of got a semblance of what I thought was funny, like, and I wrote up my little act.
Right.
And I went down to meet them, and they didn't show up. So it was just me, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, all right. And I just went on and did it.
And what was that first time like?
It was actually awesome.
Really?
It went awesome.
And
it went like really good.
Was it like an open mic situation?
Yeah, it was an open mic. You got 3 minutes.
And
If you were new, you automatically went on, and it was like a lot of local guys would perform, and then they put the new people on first, and you got 3 minutes, and you know.
How honest were you able to be? Because that's always the toughest hurdle that doesn't usually come right away in terms of your own voice on stage.
Right.
Because a lot of guys first starting out so influenced by Shandling or Seinfeld or somebody that just to get on stage, they would kind of...
Well, that was the good thing, was that I didn't... There was nobody that was in my brain that I mimicked. You know what I mean? I wasn't going up there with, like, 50 hours of Bill Cosby in my head. You know what I mean? I'm not up there, you see, you know what I mean? Like, that was, I don't know what the fuck that was. But yeah, so I went up there and it was...
going on your record.
It was really... the comedy record.
You see. Okay.
But no, it was really physical and really frenetic. I don't really remember it. I was like doing bits about, I was doing an impression of my cat throwing up and like, it was just kind of like.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So it was really, and Minnesota crowds are obviously really nice. They're not.
Oh, I love playing there. I love playing. They're very polite.
He is having fun up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not,
Not a lot of judging going on.
Yeah, not judging.
Right.
You never hear about, boo. Boo. Yeah, that's a big boo.
They would not show such discomfort.
No.
Displeasure with.
Yeah, but it went great. The guy came up to me. I was totally hooked.
Yeah, you said, I can't believe how great this is.
Yeah, it was really fun, and yeah, it just, obviously I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but it just, your brain just, it was like, oh my God. And the great thing about that I liked over improv was that I had 100% control. So I wasn't in the company, a group of people where you had to rely on, somebody coming in and, being a mess or, ruining it or not listening or, you know what I mean? So it was like, it was great. And you know this, and it's a great thing. The greatest thing about stand-up is having that control.
Yes.
And nobody can take it away from you for the rest of your life. For your whole career, you always have that. Right now, you have that. I mean, Hollywood could disappear, and you always have that ability to go up with your mind and entertain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was pretty incredible.
Did your comedy improv group have a name? Because Jamie and I sort of collect these ridiculous names over time. Mixed Nuts. Did they have a name for your group? Because the names always suck, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a sucky one?
The Cuckoo AIDS Quilts.
No.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No, of course I'm not serious. You lunatic.
I love that. The Cuckoo AIDS Quilt.
No.
That's fantastic.
That was not the name of the
also
group.
in your permanent record.
Yeah. No, it was actually a national company called Comedy Sports.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Sometimes groups will break off and...
Right. I mean, a lot of my friends did.
Rogue improv groups will break off.
Yeah, which they did. A lot of my buddies broke off into Rogue, like long form and more like hardcore. I mean, Comedy Sports is great, and I loved it, but it was definitely like there's definitely a format and stuff like that. So.
But you're right about those skills that you do learn from improv in terms of thinking on your feet.
Yeah,
it certainly forces you to do that faster than any other sort of training.
Right.
I mean, I never went to acting school because the whole idea of let's be a tree today, I wanted to kill myself when I started to hear some of the things that took place. Also, my thoughts of who's teaching the acting class. Shouldn't that person be off acting?
Exactly.
I mean, and I just hated school in general. Those were all my, build myself a little case as to why I'm not going to go to acting class.
Right.
But when I started to hear about what was happening in the improv classes, it seems like, well, this is the perfect training for an actor, for a director, for a stand-up, for everything that forces you to think on your feet faster than anybody else in the room.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, and to me, like, stand-up was, like, tame compared to it. Like, people, like, a lot of the stand-ups were, like, didn't understand why I was, why I was rolling with, my jokes and...
Right.
Kind of like not terrified, They're like, and then I was like, and to me it was just like, well, I'm used to performing in front of crowds where I have no idea what I'm going to say. Like, I know what I'm going to say, you know what I mean? So I was still scared doing stand-up, but it wasn't like, improv was like, oh my God, I hope I'm funny today, Like,
right.
Stand-up, like, you cannot have faith in jokes, and, I was still nervous, but, like, when something worked, it was like, oh, okay, like, all right, that worked. So next week I know I can, like, that'll work, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do completely. And it is that while you're creating what you're going to talk about off stage, it really doesn't have a life until you bring it on stage, too.
Right.
And that sort of discovery
makes
it electric. And while so many of our comrades chase alcohol or drugs or whatever, trying to recreate just that high.
Right.
That you just can't believe how electric it is on stage.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
So now, how long before? Well, so at that point for you, was there like, there's no looking back? From college is out of the question. I'm just going to do this now. This is going to be my life.
Yeah, I was pretty much. I did a couple open mics, and they made me the house MC at the club.
Oh, then that's it. You're
So
18
they were,
and you're
yeah, I
off
was
to the
like,
races.
yeah.
This is it.
I was like done. I started getting there was a lot of work locally and stuff, so I was like, all right, I'll try it, you know.
And how did Pam and Roger feel about that?
My dad was really cool. He's a writer and he's really artistic, so he was really into it. He thought it was cool. But my mom was definitely like, you need to go to school, and you know, like it was just like she was really traditional. So she was like, try your thing, but like you're going to school. Like take a year off if you want, but you're going to school. You know.
Right. And did that help focus your in terms of putting a calendar together in your head? Like, I've got to really kick ass in this for a year, so that at the end of the year I don't have to go to college. Or were you already, yeah, mom, whatever?
I was pretty much like, I knew I wasn't going to school. I mean,
Right.
I was just, I can't focus. I mean, there was just no way. There was no way.
Yeah.
I flirted with it. I looked at brochures and stuff.
Did you visit any campuses?
No.
Because you got some fine schools nearby.
I had grade school.
Amazing.
My grade point average was, wasn't that great.
Yeah, I was too busy fucking off. I mean,
Yeah.
and also I didn't have any teachers in high school that were that passionate about what they were teaching. So it was like, okay, so we all want to get out of here,
Right.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Let's go home.
Right. All right. Now I still love the cuckoo AIDS quilt. All right. So hit me on the Twitter thing, because I want to engage the audience. The audience have had some pretty cool questions that have come through for you.
Oh, nice.
And I want to share those. So now you're house MC, and are there acts coming through this club from LA and New York?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so you're starting to see now maybe some acts that you are inspired by.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Now I became like addicted to stand-up.
Right.
So I started like taping everything. I started watching everybody. Like I was then a complete junkie for it.
Right.
Like every Friday night videos, every comedy showcase, every Tonight Show, every Letterman. Like I was just like
Right.
anything I could get, MTV stuff. Like I just was jonesing for it. So
And who starts to formulate in your mind in terms of the standout performers at that point?
I became really like, into like Steve Martin and Woody Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I was a big Saturday Night Live fan. So like when Kevin Nealon came to town, I was like begging the owner of the club. I was like, please let me open for Nealon. Like it was like mind blowing that he was coming to, to Minneapolis. So yeah, but everybody I knew, like they would come to town. I'm like, hey, you have that joke about the thing. And they'd be like, what? They're like, yeah, I did one Friday night videos. I'm like, yeah, I saw it. That's great.
So you were popping lots of pills back then.
Yeah. I was eating an apple-sized ball of crystal meth.
Yeah, I mean, I had that crazy kind of enthusiasm too in San Francisco when actors, Shandling or Seinfeld or whoever.
Right. I mean, San Francisco was a mecca.
But still, there was that sense of, as you're the local guy, when the acts come through, you can't, you start to plan what you're going to say to them over breakfast.
Yeah.
Let's see, if I just, do I put my hand out and then say I'm a fan, or do I just,
Right. Yeah, you
So
definitely.
Nealon and other acts come through town, and are any of them starting to see your act and say, and give you any sort of encouragement, or are you still on your own fire?
No, people were really cool. I was really fortunate to have people out, but like even like Nealon, I remember like, who else? Judy Gold,
Right.
Judy. I mean, a lot of people were like, yeah, like you should still go to school. Like people were still like pushing like, college is really important and stuff like that. So
Idiots.
yeah. But I mean, it's an obvious thing to like, it was kind of a tough thing where it's like, should I, dude, because actually, and another point is, when I started, stand-up was kind of dying.
Right.
Like I started in 96.
Early 90s.
So this was like,
Mid-90s.
literally, I forgot about that. People were like, why are you starting? Like
Right.
literally people were like, there was no money in it. Like I was making like, $100, $200 a week to MC.
No, the death of comedy was like 93 to 96.
Yeah,
Those
it
were
was
the
crazy.
Dead years.
So a lot of people were like, jump this ship. These clubs are closing left and right. It was psychotic. So a lot of people were kind of like, they couldn't believe I was starting. They were like, what?
And a little more vodka. At what point do you start to think in terms of Los Angeles?
Oh, that was another thing, is everybody told me not to go to LA. Which turned out to be genius advice. And I
Right.
didn't understand it.
Right.
But one of the best pieces of advice I got was, and I tell this to kids now, is I'm like, make LA the last place that you go. You know what I mean? Do everything you possibly can to develop yourself, your sensibility, your comedy, your act, and then go to LA. Like, don't jump in there because you have 5 funny minutes.
Right.
Like, go there when you have a good hour and you can, you know,
Very
you can really
specific point of view.
Yeah. And that was the best advice I could have gotten because I got the Aspen Comedy Festival that same year that I started as a new face, and I had that option, and I opted to go to New York.
Right. And how did you get into the Aspen from Minneapolis?
From Minneapolis.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was
That's
insane.
pretty great because they do travel around looking for great actors.
Yeah, they traveled around.
But they don't pick a lot.
Yeah, they don't. I had to win a contest in Minnesota, then win a contest in Chicago out of the people that won from St. Louis and Milwaukee.
Jesus.
And I actually beat Frank Caliendo out. He was in the contest with me. He's a good friend of mine. But it was funny. Like, I had to win this contest in Chicago. It was so intense.
Well, I can tell you as a person who does impersonations, that's not easy to beat that kind of act. 'Cause that's like taking on a juggler who saves babies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're kind of top-loaded in terms of being crowd pleasers.
Yeah, no, I mean, he would just rip it. You know, he would do these big impressions and stuff. So yeah, it was pretty.
That's huge, man. So you get into the new faces in Aspen, and you're kind of a made man.
It was a bigger deal than I had any fucking idea. For those of you who don't know, the Aspen Comedy Festival was a big. It's like in February, and it's a big industry festival. All the people from agents, managers, directors, everybody goes to Aspen for a week. And they ski and they see these shows.
The Sundance Film Festival of stand-up
Correct.
comedy.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So, you know, people get discovered, and especially back then, it was like a huge deal. So I'd only been doing stand-up for 9 months.
Oh, my God.
So I had no idea
Oh, my God.
what I was doing. I had no manager. I had nothing.
Fantastic,
People were calling.
though.
Yeah, it was cool, man. People were calling my mom's house. Managers. I'm from New York. Is Nick there? My mom's like, who is this? She'd write it down on this
Nick's
board
a
in
nice
my
boy.
kitchen.
He wouldn't know anyone from New York.
He's not a stabber. You go away. But yeah, it was a trip, man. It was really wild.
So at Aspen, are you being hustled by every manager and agent under the sun in terms of...
Yeah, a manager flew out to Minnesota to see me. Yeah, he flew up from New York.
How long are you in Aspen for that? A couple days?
I was there for a week.
Oh, for a whole week? Mm-hmm. You had to have gotten hustled a little bit after you performed there, though.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah, but I signed with somebody, a manager, before I went. This guy called me up at home. Wow. He's like, I manage. He named all these people, and I was like, holy shit. He's like, I'm on a plane tomorrow. Can you get on stage tomorrow night? And I'm like, yeah. And so he flew. I got on stage, had a great set. He took me out to dinner, signed me, and then we went to the festival. I mean, I had no idea what was going on.
Holy shit.
Like, literally, I'm 19 or whatever at this point. I mean, I'm just like...
show business basically opened its front door.
Yeah.
Or so you thought.
Or so I thought.
Right.
We'll be right back.
Well, let's break away for 1 second and bring in the fine folks from Twitter. I think this one comes from at Big Griggy. What the hell? Big Griggy, at Big Griggy. Well, the first thing is, let's you. Let's go to this camera for a second. Somebody asleep with the TriCaster? Hey, nice, thank you, perfect. Seriously? My camera is the one I'm looking for.
Wow.
We just came off the tracks. That was beautiful. And who knew after 15 weeks I get to come back to it? We're not ready. There you go. So at Big Griggy, first of all, let me just say this. You're going to get your question on, but I must insist that you work on the name because it's ridiculous. What is next for you and Happy Madison Production Company? Name top five films from the gang.
What's next for me at Happy Madison? Name top of 5 of my favorite films from Happy Madison?
Yeah, I'm not.
Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, well, we'll get back to the second half. See if you can rewrite the name. They want him to name his favorites? I see. Yeah, they want you to name your favorites.
Okay.
But first, we'd be jumping too far ahead to get to the what's up next for the Happy Madison. So you hang on, Mr. Griggy. But there's no reason to go in chronological order here, so we can jump around.
You can do whatever you want,
as much as we goddamn well please. You have been involved with Happy Madison now since
Probably 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
And did you meet Mr. Sandler from the world of stand-up?
Yeah, it was actually another weird story. He saw my Comedy Central Presents, my half-hour special that I did in 2000, I think.
At the age of 22.
Yeah.
I only say that because I believe you were the youngest stand-up in the Comedy Central history to have his own special.
I think that's true. I don't know. I think that's true.
That's what my researchers uncovered.
Right.
All right, so you're 22, you got your first half-hour special out. Adam Sandler sees it and...
He's in bed with his wife, and they're laughing, and he writes my name down, goes into the office. He's like, does anybody know who this kid is?
Right.
And a lot of the young guys that work there were like, yeah, we know that dude. And so we were with the same management company at the time, so he called him up, and they were like, call me like, hey, Adam wants to meet you. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, I saw you on TV, and he wants to like sit down with you. He has a movie he wants you to rewrite. And it was this movie, Grandma's Boy, that we ended up doing.
Right. He had no idea whether you were writing movies at that time. He just...
I think they might have told... I'd written Malibu's Most Wanted.
Right.
So I think they might have told him... I don't know, but I think they might have told him, like, he does have, like, writing. He does know how to write.
Right.
So I think he did have some inkling of that.
Malibu's Most Wanted was the Jamie
Kennedy yeah.
thing. And did you write that or co-write that?
I wrote it, and then I wrote it a rated R draft,
right.
and then they rewrote it to PG-13 to get it made, because Jamie had a show on the WB, and they were like...
It took out a lot of the incest.
It was, yeah. Took a lot of the crystal skulls.
All right, so Adam calls.
Skull fucking.
Adam calls, and again, so far this is like a charmed life, basically, right?
There was a chunk in between.
At 22, we'll get to the heroin years, but at 22, you get a call out of the blue from arguably the biggest movie star in the world of comedy of the last 15 to 20 years, and he says, "I have a movie I'd like you to rewrite." That'll be your first assignment.
I was 20. He saw a repeat of the special, so it was like I was probably 26 when he called me. So
okay.
it wasn't the year.
So those were the hard years, between 22 and...
That's when...
that's when you learned...
all the sex and drinking happened.
That's when you learned how much fun. So you're in New York, obviously, at the 22 part.
Yeah.
And what brings you out to L.A.? Is that...
I worked in New York, and I signed with an agent.
Right.
And they were based in L.A.
And they said, you got to get out of here.
And they were like, you got to be out here.
Yeah.
So I was probably 20... Yeah, 22.
Holy shit. All right, so finally the call comes from show business under the guise of Adam Sandler. And does that experience of work, and that was the first time you met him, obviously, yeah?
Yes.
And so you're fast friends, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we became friends. Right. I mean, like, Adam was somebody that I grew up on his sensibility. Like, I was a diehard Saturday Night Live fan. Like, to me, like, the best Saturday Night Live years are those, like, early 90s, like, you know, and it's Sandler, Farley, Phil Hartman, Mike Myers. I mean, just the cast that's, like, mind-blowing. Like, all ththese different personalities, and I was just totally...
Right.
I just loved it. I stayed home every Saturday and watched it. And
so this is one of your heroes.
Yeah, this is definitely his albums, everything. I was...
Right.
Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. I mean, it was, yeah, I was definitely...
This was the call.
Yeah, I was...
For all intents and purposes.
Yeah, it was really intense. And we, you know, I started, you know, like when I came up in New York, I knew a lot of the clubs he started at, so we kind of, you know, we had a common bond with all that stuff, and, you know.
And so what was your experience like working on The Grandma's Boy for him, in terms of him being just a boss kind of thing?
It was great. He was really cool. I think he was amazing. He was like, look, we have this movie, and he gave it to me, and I read it. And I didn't like the draft that they had given me. I was like, And they didn't like it either. And they're like, yeah, it's really corny. It's like PG-13. And they were like, make it a hard R. Like, they're like, make a fucked up movie. Like, throw in drugs and they're like, you can write yourself in any part you want.
Right. That sucks.
You know, I know. They were like, just go to town. So it was great. Me and Alan Covert, who was the lead of the movie, got together and, you know, I pitched him ideas and he was like, yeah. And then we just, you know, we rewrote the script.
And how much writing had you done before Malibu's Most Wanted?
I mean, my parents were both writers, so I kind of came from that background. So I kind of had, you know, some writing experience. But I mean, Malibu was the first thing I'd ever written. And Jamie talked me into doing it. I didn't even want to write it. He talked me into writing it.
So basically you wrote that for him?
Yeah.
Right.
We were in a hotel room doing an improv in Tempe. And he pitched me the idea, and I was like, that's a funny premise, you know? And I was like, you know, you should open the movie with this. This would be a good scene. And then I pitched out like 3 more scenes, and he was like, dude, just those are fun. Like you just write it.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know how to write a movie. And he was like, well, just get a fucking book. So I got a book.
Right. This is how all of it starts, by the way, for everyone. Someone's saying, just get a fucking book.
Get a fucking book.
For those of us who didn't go to college, this is usually how our show business stories start.
Right.
Some studio head says, get a fucking book.
Get a fucking book. Be a star for dummies. So yeah, and so I slept at his house. I crashed. I was partying so much, and he kind of talked me into like focusing. I know he paid me out of his own pocket. That's what it was.
That was the focus.
Yeah, he was like, Jamie really wanted to do this, so he was like, hey man, I really need you to dial in, write this. You can crash my guest house. I'll pay you out of my own pocket. But he's like, please, like he liked the ideas that I had, and we wrote a couple drafts and threw it around town.
And the damn thing got toned down and made.
Well, no, a lot of people were interested in it, but you know, it was never attached to a studio, and then it kind of was in limbo for a little while, and then Jamie got the show on the WB, the Jamie Kennedy Experiment, which is very funny if you haven't seen it. Jamie does a great job on it. And then, you know, Warner Brothers, after the first season, was like, let's do a movie with Jamie. What do you got? And they gave him my movie, and they're like, this is psychotic. Let's fucking...
Let's add some water.
Tone that down.
Right.
And, yeah, there you go.
Okay, so at what point do you kind of get into the real saddle with Happy Madison in terms of you're kind of working for the company now?
Adam's really loyal. He's really loyal, and he's a really hard worker. A lot of people don't realize, like, Adam is the hardest working person I've ever seen or fathomed in my life.
Right.
And, you know, when I realized how high he sets the bar, I just kind of stepped up, and everything he gave me, you know, I made sure I busted my ass. You know, he did his album, and he was like, hey, I got an album. You want to write a sketch? I wrote a bunch of sketches. You know, anything that he was like, you know, then we did bench warmers and stuff like that, and I wrote that with him, and, you know, yeah, he kept giving me stuff, and I kept, you know, doing my best and delivering. And
well, I think it's good to hear how hard he works. And is there a sense that you're working for, Jamie and I talk about this all the time. He's modern day Chaplin in the sense that he's not only a marquee name and every studio wants him, and he has a ridiculous fan base, but he greenlights other movies. He's his own studio, in a sense, and has been for a long time.
Right.
I remember when William Goldman wrote this incredible piece for Premiere Magazine and was saying, I'm going to tell you who the #1 box office star is in the world, and you're not going to believe it. But first, let me tell you who 2 through 10 are. And then I'll tell you who the first one is. And he makes a great argument for Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise and all these people down the list. And this is a good 10, 12 years ago.
right.
And he got to #1 and he said, it's Adam Sandler, and I'll tell you why. And he just went down the statistics and said, you can't touch this guy.
Right.
So my question is, given all that criteria, is there a sense of that when you go there and you work under that successful umbrella that he's not just a pal, and he's not just loyal, he's not just a friend, you don't just go out and have dinners and stuff. Do you have any sense at all? Or is it so relaxed there that...
No, you have a sense.
You do?
Yeah.
It's because it's a mini studio in its own right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, Adam works really hard. I mean,
Right.
It's not like, you know, he is a laid back, he's like one of the most laid back guys ever, you know, he's really cool. But, you know, like he works, you know, hard and, or whatever, plays hard and works harder type thing, you know.
There's a science to all of it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
clearly.
Adam's really brilliant in the sense that he knows, he's so in touch with his sensibility and his sense of humor,
Right.
and how to translate that. I mean, like, he just has vision on things that, like, I would never, I don't see until, like, the last minute, you know what I mean, where I'm just like, what, I don't understand what he's saying, and then, like, at the last minute, I'm like, oh my God, that's what, you know, he means, and it's, like, awesome.
Yeah.
Like, he's so creative, even like Grandma's Boy. Like, he read the, you know, our draft. He's like, yeah, what about this? And doing a scene with Dance Dance Revolution and doing that. And, like, he thought of, like, just 3 things right out of the gate that became huge set pieces and, like,
Right.
giant parts of the movie. Like, he's just,
Right.
he's completely at another level. And I mean that with all sincerity. Like, he's just so dialed in and so creative. It's insane. It's really insane.
What is because I'm oblivious to this, but what is the sense of how many people are trying to get in and work for this company? Because it seems to me, like I remember for writers, write a spec script for The Simpsons if you want to write that kind of humor.
Right.
And all the spec scripts for screenplays that exist for all these years, and people trying to crack into staffs. If you want to, make your bones, you want to be a writer on this show.
Right.
What kind of banging at the gate of this mini studio is going on in terms of, because one of the things I have always been impressed and thrilled for you about is to work within this mini studio with the kind of support and loyalness that you say that he has.
Right.
But you're kind of working one of the greatest possible jobs there is for guys like us who have whatever it is we have. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I talked to Hank Azaria, and he talks about stumbling into the job at The Simpsons, and he says, I'm the first to admit, this is the luckiest break you could possibly imagine to be doing this for 20 years.
Right.
You can't even explain it.
Yeah.
So if you can give us because I know there's a lot of, some of the things that the byproduct of doing the show is that people actually sort of dial in and find inspiration for their own frustrations and whatnot. And there's some of that to this, So if you can speak at all to the difficult nature of cracking into that world for people on the outside.
Cracking into the Happy Madison world?
Right. Because it seems like it's a core group that he's had in his life now for a dozen years.
It's really exclusive, and it's really like, Adam's very guarded, and
Right.
But he's also open to like new writers. I mean, he has partners and people under him that like look for new scripts and they look for new ideas, and he does meet with like young writers sometimes, and but it's like if it's something really interesting, and it can be like he's developing dramas and horror movies and stuff, but it'll channel through a system before it gets to Adam.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, if it's something that my existence is with him is such an anomaly, you know what I mean? So it's like I don't know how many people, there's not really like a job opening for like.
Oh no,
that thing.
No, of course not. Isn't no. You've had a relationship now with the guy for quite a long time,
Right.
And it's nurtured not only just through a friendship, but also because you've delivered.
Yeah.
So that's why it maintains, I think, on a professional level.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have been like, "Oh, dude, that's such a fucking cake job. Like, it must be so easy." And it's like,
No. Yeah.
It is so not easy and so not like.
Well, let's talk to that for a second. Just in terms of your, this is a good one from at 3 Card Poker, was kind of the area I was getting to next. When, where, and under what influence do you write your best material? Do you have any rituals, superstitions, lucky charms that you use before a performance? What do you have a ritualistic way about writing or performing?
Well, my stand-up or like a.
Either one.
My stand-up, I always went through different incarnations of like, sometimes I would sit down. I was such a nerd when I first started stand-up. I would write down any bit I had word for word.
Right.
I'd write down a page of like my Wheel of Fortune joke.
Right.
And I would sit there and I would analyze it, and I would like highlight, all right, where's the setup? I'm like, okay, there's a punchline here, there's another tagline, here's a joke, and I would laugh and like, and I would analyze it.
Right.
And then I just was like, I need a fucking beer. And, and I really just, a lot of my stuff just came, a lot of my stand-up, and you've seen my stand-up, it's like really random. It's either like, if you've seen me live, which people have, and it's like, it'll be like a long true story, it'll be like an anecdote, it'll be a joke about my grandma, it'll be a one-liner about diarrhea, it'll be fucking, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of all over the map, and it was all just kind of stream of consciousness. Like I would think of something driving,
Right.
and I'd be like, what if I fucking, did this? This is a funny idea, and it would make me laugh, and I would go and try it. You know what I mean? So it was never like I never sat down and was like, I'm gonna write my stand-up. So
All right, so let's turn it to screenplays, which must, I imagine, be slightly more.
yeah, that requires a lot more discipline, which is good with Sandler because I have like a really bad ADD and a tendency to like. It's so easy to just go out and there's so many parties and stuff. So
Yeah.
Adam was really good for like, he's for tying me down and being like, you gotta fucking come on, man. Like, like I want this draft by, so, Adam always sets the bar. So I do my best to like, to write every day. And I mean, I would write with Adam sometimes 10 hours a day, side by side. We'd sit there and, we would pound out, like the movie a movie we just did, like, you know, he would write pretty intensely.
Well, when you're okay, this one in particular, this is a movie that you pitched to him. First of all, tell us what the name of this movie is that you're editing now.
Born to be a Star, which is not my idea; it's his idea.
Okay, so the original idea was his.
Yeah.
And he mentioned it to you and to run with it, for you to run with it, or how did that happen?
We were on the set of Bedtime Stories, and he was like, he goes, "Hey, I got this idea." It's like, "What do you think of this?" He's like, "Wouldn't it be funny if there's like a guy who finds out his parents used to be porn stars? Like, wouldn't that be just like a horrifying realization?"
Yes.
And we were laughing. We were like, "Yeah, that would be funny." And he was like, "Yeah," and he was just kind of sitting on it, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, you know, and the guy would like think that that was his calling, and blah, blah." And we were kind of laughing about it, and he was telling people, and then he kind of sat on it for a while. And I had another script that I had written, and I was trying to get set up, and I was doing notes with the studio. And Adam just called me up. I was in Nashville doing a stand-up gig, and it was like 3 months after he pitched me the idea. And he goes, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hello, what's going on?" He's like, "You know that porno idea about the guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I just sold it to Sony, and you're gonna star in it, and you're gonna write it. We'll write it."
That's a terrible phone call to get.
And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, dude, it'll be great." And he's like, "They love the idea," and he's like, it'll be good, man." He's like, "You know, we'll flush it out," and he's like, get back here, like, get home and let's start writing."
How'd the show go that night in Nashville?
Went all right.
Was there any alcohol involved? Was there any sort of celebration?
Kind of. But it's one of those things where it's not, like, that's the thing about working in that capacity, is it's not, I wasn't like, I'm gonna get blacked out. It was like, oh fuck, like, we gotta write a movie. Adam wants to write it, you know what I mean? Like,
good.
So it's not like, you know, it was way more anxiety than it was celebratory.
Stop fucking around, like, come back to
Yeah, it was like, okay, I know you're on the road, but get the fuck back here and let's fucking dial down and let's get into this movie.
Right.
So, you know, that's the difference, you know what I mean? Is it's like, it's work time.
Shit, I gotta go back to work.
And that was the beginning of my tour. It was the first show of my tour. And I remember I hung up the phone, I was like, there goes the tour. It was like, you know, writing on planes, writing in hotel rooms. It was like...
How long of the tour was that?
It wasn't bad. It was like 2 months, maybe.
Oh, really? And how many dates over 2 months will you do?
I don't do that many. I'll do like 2 or 3 a week.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, and I'll take a week or two off in between. I never like to, like, kill myself with doing, like, 10 dates in a week, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you ever do the bus one?
I almost did. I came close about doing, like, a whole bus thing. But I don't know. I don't have the patience.
I could imagine doing that with a group of performers.
Yeah, that would be fun. Like, I saw, like, Dane Cook, like, did that tour-gasm with him and his buddies on a bus, and they drove around.
Right. I mean, I did a version of that through Canada on the 20th anniversary of the Montreal Comedy Festival. Right. Where we did, over 2.5 weeks, we did 14 theaters.
Kevin Gasm, I remember that.
Yeah, right. I have a little bit of that right now. Wait. Hit me a tweet 5 if you got over there.
Hit me a tweet 5.
Right? Okay, so now, because you're... What I love about your on-again, off-again work ethic, if we can call it that, come back to work.
Right.
Not too dissimilar to come back to the funny, which is a story we won't get into. You are very, very diverse as a writer and a performer. I'll see you appear on Funny or Die sometimes.
Right.
And is that another outlet for you in terms of, this is not a screenplay, this is a sketch? Like not the Fridays, but the Monday thing.
The I fucking hate Mondays?
Yeah.
Right.
Was that an original idea of yours, or somebody come to you?
That was mine.
Right.
One of my best friends in the world, his name is Nick Goose, and he directed Grandma's Boy. He's my neighbor, and he's brilliant. He's got all the editing equipment and the cameras, and I would just think of these things, and I would kind of flush them out, and I would call him up, and like the people would always, internet companies were always calling me up to do sketches and stuff, but like, the I fucking hate Mondays, Funny or Die was like, it was just starting up, and they're like, hey, we have this thing, we make a short for it, and I thought of that, and we went out and shot it in a day, Mm-hmm. It was fun. Again, it was like I had total control. I was a director, I was a producer, yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, and feel free to say no. Would you mind if we showed it?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I want people to see another side of the ridiculously creative mind that sits in front of me. So let's roll that and then go right into a intermission, and then we're going to come back and wrap up with the last 15 minutes or so. Did you really think there was going to be a clip after all the things I just earlier said? No. Thank you. Nice. So you'll have a Larry King game prepared for us. Trust me, at some point.
Okay.
Not now. There's no pressure.
Okay.
I'm just saying all the guests in order to get out of here alive. So before that, they saw the Holy Fuck It's Monday.
Yeah.
What is it called?
I fucking hate Mondays.
I fucking hate Mondays.
True stat.
Which is just hilarious, and it got to be a lot of
Thank
fun
you.
to sort of throw those together in a day, as you said.
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, it took a day to shoot. We didn't like think of it and then shoot it. I mean,
no.
we, you know. But yeah, no, it was a blast. Those are all my buddies, and yeah, it was easy.
And the basketball one, I also love, where you're going and shooting, and the guy just
the Fowler?
fouling
Yeah.
the shit out of you.
Yeah, that was based on that guy actually that I was playing against. It's our friend Dante from Grandma's Boy, one of Sandler's best friends.
You brought him in saying, you do this, and now we're
Yeah.
going to shoot a video about it?
This is what you do, and then here it is.
And how did he take that?
Fine. It's like, oh yeah, no, all right. Okay. No, I know.
Nah, I know I fouled. That's his response?
Yeah.
That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
All right, so you have, in terms of the diversity, you've got a couple of projects coming up I wanted to talk about a little bit. Because there's when I announce to the Twitterverse that you were coming on, there was a whole lot of interest in the gay robot.
Right.
And there's been a lot of talk about it for a while. And as you pointed out to me before we went on, it's kind of had a fan base now for several years before it's even been seen by the public at large.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
And this was just a kind of a nutty, playful idea you had one day. And how did that? What's the genesis of the Gay Robe?
It was an idea I had for Adam Sandler's album, his last album, his fifth album, 5 years ago.
Okay.
Adam's like, hey, I'm doing an album.
Right.
If you want to do anything, let me know. So I used to do the gay robot voice around the office, but I just did it casually. Like Adam would walk in the office and I'd be like, hey, sweet shorts. And he would always laugh.
Right.
Made him laugh every time.
Right.
And Adam's he doesn't laugh at everything.
Right.
So I always like, and so I was like, all right, an album. I'm like, all right, well, what's like a good voice or a character? And I thought of that voice, and I was like, what is that? And I was like, it sounds like a gay robot. And so I wrote up this thing longhand, like really quick, like 4 pages, and I gave it to Sandler. I'm like, what do you think? And he goes, reads it, and he's like, let's shoot it right now. Let's go to the studio. He has a studio behind his office, so we just went back on the mic and, recorded it. And
Right.
then a couple years later, he was like, you know what, Gay Robe would be a funny show. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, have you ever thought about that? And I was like, no. And I kind of shot it around in my head a little bit. And
So seriously, no? No, it hadn't crossed your mind? Because it seemed like such a no-brainer to me. The moment I even heard the premise was like...
he pitched it as somebody had thrown it out there, and I didn't see the show right away.
Right.
I was like, yeah, all right, And then I sat on it for like 6 months or a year or whatever, and I can't remember. Somebody was like, it was Adam or Doug Robinson who runs this TV department. I think somebody else brought it up again.
Right.
And at that point I was like, oh, wait a minute, yeah, that could be a show.
And was the first notion of it an animated show or a live action?
I always wanted to do it live action.
Right.
I was like, let's, animation had been done so much and so well with the South Parks and the Simpsons and the Family Guy. So I was just like, the world doesn't need another animated show. So I was like, let's go back to like those 80s shows where they had fucking robots. You know what
puppets.
I mean? Like, let's just like
Right.
go old school with it. And so we pitched to Comedy Central and they loved it and bought it. And
Right.
5 years later, it has yet to hit the air.
Right. So you shoot. Well, this is important for people out there to know that it's not always you go to Nashville and get a call saying you're going to star in a movie.
It is not.
Sometimes people say you're a genius. I love your idea, and 5 years from now, people might see it.
It is a process.
Yeah.
On every level.
Right. So one of the balls that's been juggling for quite a while is this Gay Robot thing, which was a shot pilot. And from that, they said, well, we're not going to do that, but we're going to do the Nick Swardson show.
We shot the live action show.
Right.
They tested it. It tested. Guys were uncomfortable. I'm like, man, wait till Bruno comes out 5 years from now. We'll see how uncomfortable Gay Robot is for you.
No shit.
See how much that challenges your whole fucking reality. So we did Gay Robot, tested it, passed on it.
Right.
But they were like, we love it, and they felt really bad. And they were like, what about doing it animated? And I was like, fuck. And I'm like, okay, let's do it animated. So we wrote a pilot, pitched it. They bought it, did the pilot, animated a half-hour pilot, or 15-minute pilot. And they ordered 6 episodes. So we were scripting 6 episodes last year in this spring. Mm-hmm. And then a friend of mine, Tom Giannis, who ran the show Human Giant on MTV, called me up. He goes, hey, I have an idea for a sketch show, and I want you to be the lead of it. And I was like, I'm kind of really overextended. And he pitched me the idea, and I was like, fuck. And I love sketch, like from my Saturday Night Live, being a fan.
Sure. And
like those sketches on Funny or Die, I love that format.
Right.
So he pitched it to me. I love the idea. I pitched it to Happy Madison. They loved it. We pitched it to Sony. They loved it. Bought it. And we were like, all right. And so I pitched it to Comedy Central. They loved it. Bought it. And I had I had that and Gay Robot. So I was like, fuck, they're not going to pick up both these shows. So we were trying to figure out what to do, and Comedy Central was like, look, we'll pick up that sketch show, but we won't pick up Gay Robot, but if you put Gay Robot as a component of the sketch show, as like a 1 or 2 minute interstitial piece.
Like The Simpsons on Tracy Ullman.
Like The Simpsons started on the Tracy Ullman show, which I don't know if a lot of people know that, but they're like, we'll do that. And I was like, done. Let's do that.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's really ideal, actually.
It takes all the pressure off of it.
Takes the pressure off it, and we can really kind of flush out the peripheral characters around Gay Robot, and really kind of figure out, what the show is exactly. So now we're developing this show. We got 6 episodes. We're shooting this fall. It's not the Nick Swardson show, but it'll be something to that effect. And we have awesome ideas.
Can I suggest a name for the show?
Yes, please. Anybody, if you can Twitter Kevin a name for a show for me, a sketch show.
The Cuckoo AIDS Quilt. Okay? Just chew on it. Just chew on it.
I like the quilt part.
No, seriously, you heard him. If you have an idea for the name of
Dead serious.
a sketch show that will be basically the Nick Swardson show.
It can have my name in the title. I don't want that, Comedy Central does, so you can have like Nick Swardson, blah, 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 or whatever. But any incarnation of a name, I would be much appreciated.
Are you totally against Nick's ballsack? All right.
75%.
That's fine. I'm going to hit you with a Tweet 5 now to keep the audience in the game.
What's the tweet?
Tweet 5 is a rapid-fire question, just one after another. It's kind of like salt or pepper, Coke or
Tweet
Pepsi.
5, okay.
Right?
Right.
This is from @Descenzo, and there's no way in hell I'm saying that correctly. Xbox or PlayStation?
Xbox.
Nice. I like your commitment. Ice cream or cake?
Cake.
Some of these aren't easy.
Cake.
Some of these are not easy.
Ice cream cake.
That's what I would have said. Gunfight or sword fight?
Fucking sword. I'll waste my time with that. Right.
Here's an easy one for you. Rap or rock?
What is it?
Rap music or rock and roll? Really? You want to take a knee?
I don't understand the question.
Which do you prefer? Which is your favorite, rap music or rock and roll? If you had to choose, if there were a gun to your head.
Probably rock, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Depends on the situation, I'm sensing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like both. It's tough. But yeah, I mean, if I were, I guess, yeah, rock.
Okay.
With cake.
And this is the hardest one of all of them.
Fuck! What is it?
There's no wrong answer. Jesus or Moses?
Jesus.
Again, keep them coming, folks. See what happens? You find a little.
God, that was intense.
You find a little something.
You never told me that was going to happen.
You find a little something out about yourself on this show, okay? And you're never too old for that, my friend.
Sword fighting cake eater.
You are such a cake eater. I had no idea myself. The stand-up special. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Was this part of the tour? This last tour? You found yourself in Austin, Texas.
Yes.
During that tour.
That wasn't a tour. That was a one-off. I haven't toured since last year. But yeah, this is a culmination of what I've been touring with for the last, 2 years.
And you shot it this last April?
Shot this last April in Austin, Texas.
And which theater in Austin?
The Paramount.
Nice. And so it's going to air when? Can we look for this? Do we know?
A tentative date of October 11th. That's not final, but it's 90%.
All right.
October 11th. It's called Seriously, Who Farted? Okay,
let's talk about that for a second, because this is a recurring theme for you, I found in the research.
Oh.
You gave a very sort of insightful and seemingly sincere point of view to you're going to come back to the fart joke, so don't basically shit all over the notion of the fart
Oh, right.
joke.
That's from an interview, yeah.
Yeah, and I found that kind of not just revealing, but more sincerely, I found it more in line of be true to your school, and if something makes you laugh, fuck what everybody else thinks about it, quite frankly.
Right.
So, I mean, because basically you're putting across a notion of this is what I think is funny. The fart joke will always make me laugh. And it can be debated till the end of time because it's a subjective art form. But underneath it, quite honestly, was the sense of it's real simple.
Right.
You know?
And yeah, it was also kind of in a bigger picture, based on, a lot of the stuff and a lot of the movies and stuff that I do, a lot of people are like, hey, I saw your movie, it was so stupid. But it was, it made me laugh. It was just one of those things where it's just like, hey, I like fucking Woody Allen too. You know what I mean? I like it all, okay? Right. I've watched over 150 Chaplin movies,
right,
including his short films. You know what I mean? It's like, but, sometimes, yeah, I'll show, my character will fucking fart in a movie or shit his pants, and that's still funny to me too. You know what I mean? It's like, right, don't be above me. I remember I did a show once at an Ivy League school, and I was on stage, and the audience was kind of, this was years back, maybe 5 years ago. And I remember being on stage, and I was doing my act, and the kids were kind of like, and I did my joke, and it's one of my favorite jokes, and it was, I go, my cat has diarrhea. My cat's sick, he has diarrhea right now. And I go, I had to take him to the vet. And the vet's like, well, what have you been feeding him? And I'm like, diarrhea. And it was one of my favorite jokes.
Right.
And this kid in the fucking third row goes, ugh, so stupid.
Seriously?
And I just go, and I heard him, and I go, hey, I fucking know it's stupid, asshole. I fucking wrote it. That's why it's funny, you fuck. And he was like, and I just snapped. I was so pissed. I'm like, you're not fucking above me, you little fucking Ivy League shit. I'm like, I know it's stupid. That's why you laugh at it. It's just so frustrating. People that attitude of just oh,
yeah.
It's just of course it's dumb. It's the whole point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, slapstick at its very core is about being stupid. The Three Stooges were brilliantly stupid. I mean, this aspect of comedy is as important as any other.
Right.
And that's what I sort of was digging about the comment in the interview, which was, first of all, really we're going to judge comedy now? Is that really what to do with it?
Right.
Is to decide what's beneath and acceptable.
Right.
Bruno certainly is a fine example of, well, first of all, let's beat the joke to death, but find the boundaries and then kick the shit out of them.
Yeah, I mean,
and just shock for the sake of there's no way you saw this coming. And by the way, as hilarious as I think the movie is, at some point it does become a little one note. As shocking as the next thing is, at some point there's this repetition to the note. He plays it better than anyone has ever played it.
He had a really tough task ahead of him.
Oh God!
When he did that movie, and when I heard he was going to do it, I was excited because I love the character from the show.
Right.
But then in the back of my head, I was like, ooh, this is going to be really tricky.
Right.
Because a lot of what he did on the show, which was so fucking brilliant and lampooning and like messing with these fashion designers and like, it was so great, but he kind of maxed out there.
Yeah.
So he didn't really have a lot on his plate. And Borat was such a phenomenon. So he really had to like figure out, you know, like the angles to take and what to do and stuff like that. I mean, you know, I was definitely, I didn't expect a lot of what I saw. I mean, I thought there were just moments of just, you know, really amazing fucking moments.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, where I was just like, oh my God.
There's
This guy, I mean, whatever you think of the movie, and I know a lot of people who don't like it, but I mean, you know, whatever you think of it, it's like, he fucking went for it.
Yeah.
That dude went to the Middle East. You know what I mean? That guy it's hunting with these fucking guys.
Yes.
Opening up their tents. I mean, it's just like,
I know, that's the
that
thing.
dude went for it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well,
the focus group testing that show was hilarious. I mean, there was a lot of great stuff in it.
Yes, there was. Also, I remember when Jamie and I saw you in New York, you're doing part of the Will Ferrell thing. The thing I've always loved about Will Ferrell on Saturday Night Live specifically was his commitment to the bit, whatever the bit was. He would hang out that unbelievably unattractive belly of his in any situation if that's what it called for.
Right.
Celebrating how unattractive his torso is.
Right.
As a part of his commitment to the joke. And that's always been one of the most important things to me at the foundation of a great comic, be it in films or be it in television or stand-up, whatever. So in terms of his commitment, I don't know that anyone can really question his brilliance when it comes to his commitment to the joke.
Right.
You know, it's kind of one of our old standbys, which is, well, anything for the laugh, anything to, you know, to please, quite frankly.
Right.
But nobody fathoms the lengths that Sacha Baron Cohen has gone.
Yeah.
That part of it's not even open for debate, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another life. I mean,
Yeah.
my favorite is like stories I hear about my friends. Like, yeah, my mom went to see it. She liked Borat.
Oh boy.
I'm like,
Anyway.
how'd that go over?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about then. So, in terms of seriously, who farted? This is a stand-up special,
Right.
right? And is that a bit that you actually do in the show, or is it just a great title?
No, it was just one of those things. I just liked the juxtaposition of just like seriously and who farted. It's just funny to me. One of my friends, Zach Galifianakis, comedian.
Yeah.
It's one of my old friends, my old roommate in New York, and we used to do a thing where we would try to say, as serious as we could, we would be like, who fucking farted?
Right.
And we would try to do it as serious as we could to the point where we would try to get to tears and like do it as intensely.
Shakespearean
And we would
drama.
fucking laugh so hard. We would just laugh for all night. We would do it. We'd eat pop brownies and shit and fucking get drunk. But we would do it like, we would just, you know, we loved it. I just was always obsessed. When you see the album cover too, I'm really proud of the album cover. Because it's kind of like this like 50s, 40s kind of crooner. And I have like a tuxedo and it's like in
Nice.
black and white. And it's just like this face of like,
And then the words.
yeah, seriously, who farted? It's just like that, like, it's on my website. You can go to Swardson.com and go on the photos, and there'll be a picture of the album cover.
That is fucking awesome. And we think it comes out October 11th.
Yeah, but it'll be in that.
There'll
in
be
that
plenty of
time
press.
frame.
People will know when it comes out. For fuck's sake, you'll make the rounds.
what the
and,
fuck, man?
right? It'll be celebrated.
Damn it.
Let's go back on the tweet 5. You feel good? You feel rested?
Bring it.
Okay. This is from R_silent. At R_silent from the Twitter
Okay.
verse. Ready?
Yeah.
Some of these are not this or that, but they're 5 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
First one.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Never good when it gets this much laughter before the bit. Ever kill a hobo?
No.
The perfect answer. By the way, perfect line reading, perfect sincerity, even though I know it isn't the truth. Ever thought of being a male escort? What? That's one of the questions. So
No, I don't think so.
a little bit about it is exciting, though.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Can you hammer a nail with your penis?
fingernail?
Perfect answer. And a perfect follow-up to that question, West Side Story or Dirty Dancing? What?
West Side Story.
Yeah, please. If you were a superhero, what would your superhero name be? See, the other
Immature
way.
Man.
Immature Man. Love it. All right.
Somebody be like, help me, save me. I'd be like, I will. Psych.
And then you just walk
Fucking
away. Yeah? That's nice. Have you ever panned for that gold? Because I think there's something in them thar hills.
I could put that in the sketch show.
Which superhero is he? He's the
What?
he's not reluctant, really. He's just sort of a smartass.
Immature Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a fucking asshole. Someone's hanging off a ledge, like, hold on to this, and they'll just fart in their face. And they're just like, can't hold on to that fart.
I think you're giving way to something important here.
We'll see.
My friend.
Don't take it.
No.
Take a tweet, people.
It's like it's hereby not exactly copywritten, but
By the way, I'm not on Twitter, so if anybody's running around saying they're Nick Swardson, they're not, 'cause I'm not on it.
where should they write you at?
I don't know. I mean, my website. I got a new website. It's awesome. I'm a video blog on it soon. I'm gonna release a lot of exclusive. I got some exclusive stuff, some videos coming out. I got an exclusive Reno 911 video that's really awesome that I just made. My character on Reno 911 is Terry. It's like the roller skating prostitute.
Yes.
And
I
did it.
something to do with the question.
Oh, yeah,
the male
right.
escort. Yeah.
That's true. And I shot a thing called A Very Terry Christmas, and it's a commercial for his Christmas album.
Can you tell us anything about that?
It's just like a short. It's gonna be on my DVD, and it's crazy.
You're going to leak it on your website?
Yeah.
Soon?
Soon, like within the next couple weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And when did you shoot that?
Like a month ago.
How long have you been on 911, the Reno?
Fucking 6 years.
Right?
Yeah.
Pretty fantastic.
Right?
And it's a blast because you just basically work kind of sporadically during the season.
It's so random,
Right.
and it's all improvised. If people don't know that, it's 100% improvised. There's not a line, a word, a letter of dialogue It's all improvised.
Are situations at least set up for you?
Yeah, I mean, they'll call me up and be like, hey, Terry's at the library.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, like,
Right.
and we'll shoot my entire season in one day.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll shoot 10 episodes in a day.
And so it's 10 premises, basically. You're at the library,
I'll go to the
fire
library,
station.
we'll shoot, a bunch of shit. We'll go down the street to the park, we'll go into the alley. I mean, it's insane. Just pop it off.
Oh, nice. And that makes it easy to be a part of that for 6 years when they can do it that way for you.
Yeah, and those guys were friends of mine before the show, so I have a lot of fun with them.
From New York days, LA days?
Yeah, New York. Tom
Yeah?
Lennon, Carrie Kinney, and Ben Garant.
Can I ask just a couple of seconds more of a little bomb that you dropped on us here a couple of minutes ago? My old roommate, Zach Galifianakis, who I think is arguably one of the greatest comedic minds to come out of the last 20 years.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Oh my Christ, roommates?
Zach, I took over Zach's apartment in New York, and Zach was like my only friend when I moved out here. And yeah, I mean, Zach and I have spent.
Oh, God.
I mean, Zach. Yeah, I mean, I don't see Zach as much as he bought a farm in North Carolina and he splits his time in New York, but yeah, Zach and I.
No alcohol consumed at all during that time.
Zach and I used to eat pot brownies and pot cookies pretty much every week.
Uh-huh.
And
Did one of you make them?
a lot of stories about that. One of my favorites was our friend Bobby took a bunch of pot cookies, ate them, and went upstairs to his room to get something, and then
2 weeks
was
later.
so high he started crying and couldn't figure out how to get back down the stairs. So we're sitting in the kitchen and we're like, where the fuck is Bobby? And we like call upstairs and he's crying at the top of the stairs and he can't figure out how to get down. So that was our life.
Did he, so using the stairs as a way to get down was off the list.
Yeah. Let's just say we laughed for about a week straight and then went into a coma.
He's crying because he wasn't sure how to get down.
He could not figure out how these things worked, these different levels of wood, and it was a conundrum.
All right, I can't ask for more than that in terms of that roommate situation.
But Zach's in the Hangover. I'm really happy and proud of him. He's been working for a long time, and Zach is beyond paid his dues. And
Yeah.
he's been chipping away for so long.
And had the respect of all the kings of the 5 families. I mean, he's was on everyone's list of how the fuck do we use this guy, and no one could figure
it was like one
it out.
of those things where just, you know, and that's what I give so much credit to Todd Phillips for going like, hey, put him in a fucking movie and let him be Zach. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know, yeah, he was great. I was really happy and proud of Zach for that.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time for him. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
At King One. Very important that we get to this one, my friend. You ready for your next tweet 5?
Yeah.
All right. How's the arm feel? Want to rest it? It hurts a little. What is it like being the strongest boy in the world?
Sassy.
Sassy. When is your first starring role coming? Well, I think we touched on that one. That would be...
Born to be a Star. We're editing it now. It's me, Christina Ricci, Don Johnson, Steven Dorff. Me, Sandler, Covert wrote it. Mm-hmm. And it's due out early next year.
Early part of 10.
Yeah.
Finally.
It's about a guy who finds out his parents used to be porn stars, and he has a tiny penis and decides that's his calling. And he literally has like a vagina. It's like tiny. And so it's like Napoleon Dynamite meets Boogie Nights.
That's the sales pitch, actually.
Yeah, but it's great. It's crazy.
Is Gay Robot really gay?
Yeah, he's gay as shit.
I don't think there's...
It's like, there's no gray area to Gay Robot. It is fucking, he runs on semen.
Right. Spade or Sandler? Right? They fucked with you a little there.
For what? Yeah, I mean, that's...
Because you have an allegiance to both.
I don't know what the question is, though. Who's my favorite person, or who's my favorite comedian, or Spade or Sandler?
There's no context. And there's no correct answer.
Sandler.
Yeah.
Sorry, Spade.
Whatever, man. Gay Robot or Optimus Prime? Seriously.
Is there a difference? Is there a difference? At the end of the day. Gay Robot.
Yeah, clearly. I want you to gear up your Larry King game. Start to load it a little bit. Now, the basic rules, in case you hadn't remembered, we have people submit them, and then I give away the, for the last few times, by the way, we've got to put this guy up if we're going to do this. All right? I think it's time that Larry joined the fun. Fine. This live CD is about to be replaced with my next in-concert live CD, but for the time being, a little off the top, we'll go to this winner who wrote in this Larry King game. And in fact, as I read it, you should send in, you should write to contact@kevinpollakschatShow.com and give us your damn mailing address so we can send you this bad boy. And again, as I've said before, it's $6, $7 on eBay if you don't want to listen to it. All right?
Can I see it?
Sure, you can have that one.
No, can I?
Yeah, it's from the 1800s. All right, just to give you an idea of the Larry King game. All right, Mr. S, as you prepare your own.
Oh, yeah.
Do a bad Larry King impression. As Larry, reveal something about yourself on the air.
Okay.
That no one should know. And then go to the phones, and it helps if the name of the city is funny sounding. So here's an example. I have my diapers special made so my suspenders will hold them up. Hogjaw, Arkansas, you're on. That's just a little example.
Right.
All right? So you work on yours while I put together this last tweet 5, and then we're going to go to the Larry King game. At Stan Denali, who's one of our contest winners from of the theme song, offers up this interesting tweet 5, and then it'll be time for the Larry King game. So don't fuck around.
Okay.
And then just solid drinking for the next 3 hours, if you're okay with that. Andy Kaufman or Crispin Glover?
Andy Kaufman.
Oh yeah, please. Fave movie? Wow, I don't even know how that's possible.
Jesus.
Is it?
Favorite movie?
Of the comedy genre. I'll narrow it down.
A Dumb and Dumber.
Nice. First record?
Purple Rain, Prince.
Nicely done. From your hometown? Yeah. Who you most want to work with, other than me? That's an obvious.
Andy Kaufman.
Okay, well that's going to be very, very hard. Not impossible, because as you know,
Not impossible.
he's just not available.
Who do I want to work with?
He's not dead. He's just not available. I know I get that one too, and it's
That's a
fucking
good
impossible
question.
because the list is kind of endless, and then to pick just one is like a.
God.
Ricky Gervais.
No.
Fuck him.
Fuck that.
A younger Al Pacino.
A younger Al Pacino. God, I don't know. That's tough. Fuck.
I like that it's just painful for you, though. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Judi Dench.
Perfect. Have you ever had her fish and chips, by the way?
No.
Ridiculous. And this is the great way to finish it. Thank you, Stan and Ollie. Who would you never want to work with?
Dennis Miller.
Perfect. All right. Let's take just a moment, and then you'll look right into your camera and give us your Larry King game.
Oh, right.
People should look for yet to be released and/or well, no, it has been titled Seriously Who Farted. That'll be out in October, and then yet to be named, but soon to be in production in the fall. I guess you'll start on the sketch show for Comedy Central.
Yeah, we're starting shooting the sketch show in the fall. It should be out probably next spring or summer. Movie will be out early this year. It's on IMDb.
Right.
And then the album and special will be out early October. And
Right.
all information will be on my new website, nickswartzen.com.
Nice. All right, into your camera, mister. Give us a little Larry King game, and we will cut you
Okay.
loose.
All right, I think this makes sense. Do I have to say hi, I'm Larry King?
Nope.
Okay. All right, I think this makes sense. All right. Every morning for breakfast, I eat a Rubik's Cube. Before I go to bed at night, I shit it out solved. Chattanooga, Zimbabwe!
I love for once and finally someone spoke to the intelligence of the man.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. That was exceptional and perfect. Please come back and tell us more as these projects unfold.
I will. I would love it.
Right?
Of course. You know me. You can hit me anytime.
Does it feel like an hour and a half has gone by?
No, not even
No,
close.
not at all. Not even
Not
really.
close.
It's ridiculous. Can't wait to hear Seriously Who Farted, and let me know when there's any sort of screening to see your fabulous new opus that you're
I
starring
will. Of
in,
course I will.
called
Born to be a Star.
Born to be a Star. All right, pal.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Great to see you again.
All right, we sign off here on, I believe, episode 15. Check the annals, if you will. And we'll see you next week with Jason Lee. Very excited about that. I want to thank the crew and everybody that works here. There they are outside working diligently. It's just right. Oh, God. So if that doesn't say it all, I'm not sure what does. No way. That's what's. And then the inside angle once more of our hardworking studio audience and head writer. All right. We'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in. And until then, as always, get out of my face.